live. And it's been right. So, the show is starting. And we're in. And man, can you believe it? This is episode number 70.
And it's also the first episode of 2021. 70 episodes, Jesus.
That's right. 2021, man. Who knows what the hell that means?
All the bad stuff is over, right? It's only good stuff from here on out.
We got a, pardon, no pun intended. We got to take our medicine before we're out of the woods.
Yeah, quite literally, yeah. The 8-Ball did confirm that, though, that was the worst year of the decade. So it doesn't mean that no more bad shit will happen. It's just not going to be cumulatively as bad each year over the next 9 years.
And worse is, well, it was your question and came from you. I was going to say it's kind of a matter of perspective, but that was from your perspective. So,
So suck on that, losers. Charlie's going to have a great 9 years ahead. Yeah.
Or relatively good.
Relatively good. I'm okay with that.
All right. So Charlie's got the ideas for the show today. So let's go.
Hell yeah. So I got a couple of interesting things. One thing, the first one I wanted to hit off was basically just Michigan related. Slightly interesting. I figured you might find this interesting too. And because we talk about this all the time on this, not all the time, but we've gone over a few episodes, relating to our gal Greta.
Greta.
Apparently, and I've actually noticed this, and you probably have too, but over the last 3 years, our winters haven't been as wintry, right? Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, but this year we've already had a number of snows and some pretty cold days. It's January 1st.
We've had 3 or 4 good snows, yeah.
We're trending a little above in temperature, but yeah. But 4 or 5 winters ago, we had the second snowiest winter in the history of recorded weather. So
maybe that this is a non-story then, because
it's a short trend. But go ahead.
Very
sorry.
short, especially in the grand scheme of life on Earth, right?
Right.
Dinosaurs and so on.
For sure.
But the thing that I was reading was about this guy, some interview with a guy who's in a Michigan snowmobiling club, right? Snowmobile racing club, and they race on ice. So it's we don't need snow, we need ice. We need cold weather.
We're tough guys.
Yeah, it's like a biker club, but for Midwesterners. I guess Midwesterners are biker clubs.
Here's Lucy. Hi. Grab a bag.
Anyway, so the article was about how Michigan is the weather's trending up, and obviously, like you said, the past few years, but 4 years ago we had record snowfall, so maybe it's a non-story, but I'm I kind of believe this, because even though I don't necessarily buy into the whole we're fucking up the earth thing, it seems to me that it has been warmer, and last winter we had a non-winter. It was some cold days, and then we just jumped right into spring, almost. It was just a long fall without snow,
I'm not sure I'd give it fall, but it certainly wasn't as cold as normal. Yeah.
Right, and
for sure.
I was working downtown in Detroit. I just remember cold days, but not necessarily snowy days. And I love the snowy days.
Yeah.
Those are the best. That's the best part of winter.
I'd rather have 31 and snow than 25 and no snow all day long.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. It's a waste of cold. Yeah, you're what the hell? I'm getting screwed here for nothing.
Yeah.
And
I hate it when you have snow, kind of warm, snow, kind of warm, and then snow on the side of the road is black, and just when you have that nice
dirty snow.
Yeah, that nice blanket of snow in the neighborhood, and you probably didn't have it, but for us, I even saw it on Facebook. A very normal thing for us was to go out bumper hitching.
I freaking loved bumper hitching.
Our neighborhood streets, for us, it was the norm rather than the rare day. our streets would get that white packed snow and would be like that most of the time.
That was how I remember my childhood. And my dad used to take us skitching. We call it skitching, I guess.
Yeah.
And he had, and you know those, like you can get if you have a tow hitch on your truck.
Yeah.
You can get not like a ball, not like a ball. What the hell? Yeah, if you have a trailer hitch, you can put something in there that's like
make a
for
handle
a crate
kinda?
to carry on the back of your truck.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. So it's like for a big chest almost, and it's like if you're going on a road trip, throw your ski poles in here, and then there you go. It's your chest. It's not taking up space. So we would just throw the grate on there to hold the thing, but not the chest. And you just hang on to that, and it was like it's like a perfect little platform to go skitching in the neighborhood. And I think my sister broke her arm doing that when she was young, and it was good. You know, it was like a lot of good stuff.
Well, when I was a kid, the cars actually had bumpers.
Right,
so they had
like
these big
chrome
thing, right? So it had a built-on handle, and I mean, you'd run, and half the time you'd like kind of dive, and just you'd be dragging, and then you get your other hand and pull yourself up.
And human beings, children were much more resilient back in the day, so you didn't have to worry about most of the injuries that
you could
encounter.
Didn't break back then like kids apparently do now, or so it seems.
We used to do, and this is a kind of tangent, but we'll get back to it. We used to do where you tie, like when you're going tubing on a lake. We used to do that, but with tubes or like sleds on bumpers. Like, so we'd drive around the neighborhood and you just try to knock each other off while you're on sleds getting towed behind the truck or whatever. It was great. Yeah.
Fun stuff. You made me think of one other thing, and somebody brought this up, but it's an original, a retread original thought for me, which is, you know what they used to say? And now you get deplatformed, you get called who knows what. The term sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
Yeah.
Now we have things like safe spaces. Times have changed so much.
And I was always taught not even names, but words. So this is kind of a good story for the listeners out there that, it's not sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which is kind of even more encompassing. It's just like words are words are words. Like a name is one thing where you're calling somebody like a loser, but if you're just like, you're a woman, that's not necessarily a name calling. You're just saying, this is what I perceive you to be. And I don't mean it's not a slight, but in the House, what was that story? Did you read that where Nancy Pelosi banned the usage of gender-specific familial terminology? So you couldn't call somebody, Chris, you're the father of Charlie, or you're the godfather of Charlie, or I'm your godson, or Lainey is my sister, where it's like shit like that, and now those words are barred from use in a congressional setting. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Is a father not a thing anymore? Is that an offensive term? And it's like a word. It's not hurting anybody.
That's sad. Okay.
It is sad.
So the first time ever I was researching either that Time Magazine article or the woman who came up with Kwanzaa, one of the two. And I was curious, what their deal was in education and where they were from, the whole bit. And they were a university professor. They are. And their page came up, and it was their name and their accreditation, PhD, whatever. And the first time I ever actually saw it, and then in parentheses after that, their preferred pronouns. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I knew it was out there, but I just had never actually seen it.
It's silly to see it actually being done, right? And then
it was there. It was part of their bio. It was part of their bio, and it was on the second line. Right after PhD, I think it was PhD, African and something studies, and then she/her in parentheses, she/her.
And it's
Oh
virtue signaling. I don't
my.
think any of those people out there believe that they're in jeopardy of being misgendered or mispronounced or whatever.
Oh, I think
You're
people
like,
in academia and then particularly in like the grievance fields are totally steeped into that shit. I think they're all in.
you think that they really believe? You think they're all in?
I think they've got themselves convinced. And
Well,
I would
here's my
say
thinking.
that's
Okay, that's
I would say that's
possible.
believing.
Fair. That's fair. I would say it would seem to me that she's doing that because if she's gonna sell something, she's gotta buy into it at least a little bit. She's got to be like, and that's African American studies, right? So it's a little bit different. But if you're
It
the
was
gender studies guy,
I'm pretty sure it was Berkeley, and I will bet you dimes to donuts that
course.
everybody fills that in. I promise you with certainty that it's not a choice.
it's fun to see nowadays the option to select non-binary on like legal or not legal form. If you go to the doctor now, you can be like male, female, other, non-binary, or like non-conform. And it's like, who is this helping? Is this helping me feel good? Because it doesn't help the doctor. He'll be like, oh, this person thinks that there's. You might as well just check, do I have a psychological disorder? And I don't mean to be mean by saying that, but do I have dissociative, whatever? I'm not a doctor, clearly, folks, but yeah, it's just funny to me to see that.
Well, yeah, well, trans was called gender dysphoria until like 2 years ago. And
Yeah, and
was,
that's
you know,
like they have
kind
body
of a
dysphoria or whatever,
was
yeah.
kind of a disorder.
Like it wouldn't show up. You'd see it in the DSM-5. You'd be like, oh, he thinks he's
Exactly. Exactly. You know,
Yeah.
whatever, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, it's not normal. It's not that which is the norm. It's not normal. And I have total sympathy and can empathize. And I mean, shit, when you have a class of people that's, you know, potentially the highest segment of, for lack of a better way to put it, of the population in terms of suicide rate, oh my gosh, how hard would it have to be, you know, to deal with that? Right?
Huge.
I mean, we talked a little bit about suicide. You know, when it's more than you can take, you know, I think I was talking about that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Then why do people commit suicide? So if it's so difficult to potentially live with, you know, oh my gosh. And it's fucking America. Be any way you want, but don't make me do it.
That's the thing right there. And I ironically read. Oh, go ahead.
You know, I told you I was thinking about taking some upper level econ classes, and the school that I would do it at, I don't think, who knows, maybe they do, maybe everybody does. But if I am asked for my preferred pronouns, I am going to do something really fucking wacky just to make a point. And they're going to have to do it. And maybe
Classic is Apache.
And maybe I'll put like a wheelchair spin on it or something, you know.
You say, I'm what would you call it?
I don't even know.
A four-wheeler? I don't know, because you could. I was trying to think of what do you call something.
Yeah,
that
but
has
you'd have
four
to
wheels
make
that's,
it.
you know,
You'd
a
have to
vehicle.
make it like nice and concise and clever and believable.
Yeah. Quadruped.
Anyway, so what did you want to get into? We're off and running, and we're not even topical. Not that.
No, that's
good.
right. I had something still relating to that. That same thing. I ironically saw a post. You mentioned that this is America. You can do whatever you want. Just don't make me do it. Which is, by the way, a huge theme of our show. I saw an ironic post from one of my friends, won't name names, someone who frequently posts. Excuse me for cursing so new into the new year, but so fresh into the new year, but liberal horse shit all the time, and that's common. Whatever, it doesn't grind my gears, or as my lady friend likes that you said, rub my rhubarb. It doesn't rub my rhubarb necessarily, but which is great. But
Never
it
run
was like
another man's
in
rhubarb.
America. You rubbing another man's rhubarb. That's a little gross there. But it was this post about in America here, what helping your neighbor really means isn't just letting them or hoping for them that they get what they want, but or something like that was the gist of it. And it's like, obviously that points to racism. Voting for shit that, like, by taking more of my money, like the simplest thing, like taxes. What?
You know what that's a version on a theme of?
What?
To him from his ability, to him according to his needs, or whatever. I didn't get that totally right.
And I was like, yes,
it's the same
totally
basic
is.
thing.
I didn't see that. Yeah, but I was like, I didn't draw that
or to
connection
each.
there, but that's totally what that is.
Yep.
Yeah, to each for his need, and
to each according to his ability.
But I was like,
or from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs, or something
to
like
each
that.
according to his need.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's the same logic.
Right, totally. And for those of you, if we go over that too quickly, it's like you can remove oppressive legislation if that exists, which I would argue, for the most part, on a basis of racism or sexism, whatever, that doesn't really. But let's go back to the basic shit now, where I'm being oppressed because you're forcing me to pay an extra 28 cents per $100 or whatever to go towards the bond that I didn't want to do. And because I voted no for it and 50 other guys voted yes for it, it's like now I'm essentially being oppressed. And that's a very small example, but that's just an example that relates to everything that is democracy, right? So people don't even think about that as being an oppressive form of government anymore.
Yeah.
I know you're hesitant there because you don't necessarily agree with my viewpoint. Taxation deal.
There's a lot to process there potentially, because there's a lot of. I'm just thinking about the way government works. That extrapolates hugely,
to everything. Yeah.
Three right.
A better example would be if. Sure. A better example would be if you're one of the oppressive things that goes on in daily life is that, to go back to our gender thing, I'm a man who likes to be called a woman. And one of the things that you think oppresses you is that people call you a man all the time. And you say, like California, oh, you can go to prison for misgendering somebody. That you're now technically lifting oppressive behaviors from one person and moving them to another by putting the burden on me to change my behavior.
And
that's
exactly what's gone on. So
that's what my point is, right?
Tell me, so I can listen a little more closely. Tell me what the guy's post said again.
I wish I could pull it up, but essentially it was what helping your neighbor really means is in America, what helping your neighbor really means fighting against oppression or whatever. I think it might have even specifically related to lifting legislation, oppressive legislation or whatever. And what I drew from that was, like, if Jim Crow was still a thing, you're like, oh, that's fucked up. I'm going to get rid of that for my buddy because I like my black neighbor or whatever. But morally, it shouldn't be your neighbor just for you to vote yes on that. Be like, yeah, that's bad,
And that's a very slippery slope, too. Right? That could very quickly turn into, equality of outcome. Right? Helping your neighbor means that, if I make $10 and my neighbor makes $5, I'm going to give him $2.50, so we're both the same.
And it's kind of disgusting because it uses that word oppression. I'm using that and quoting that, but that's totally subjective, which makes this post propaganda. Because oppression could be whatever the fuck you want it to be, as long as it's a bad thing or something that you don't want to happen. Yeah.
And you could leverage any old bullshit for whatever outcome you might. You would gerrymander it, is what you do, into whatever the fuck you want.
Right. And that took a little bit longer to go over because I didn't have the post, but that was the gist of it. And it's like, don't fall for that shit.
I wasn't listening as closely.
That's all right.
The first time. Yeah.
It's one of those things that sounds nice. and then you're like, fuck.
You know, I may go ahead and just get myself kicked off Facebook, and not by being a jerk, but just by being open in who I am and just saying, you know, fuck it.
What do you think would get you kicked off if you were not going to alter your behavior?
I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm getting to the point where I don't care what people from my past might think of me if they watch, say, one episode of this, if I started posting the links. You know, I think I told you, and I told my mom, and I've told a couple people, you know, why don't you put them on Facebook? Because depending upon the episode and or the 2 to 5 minutes that somebody might watch one of these, they're going to be like, wow, Chris got like old, angry, and profane.
He's a curmudgeon. This one's been pretty clean so far. I'll try to do my best to avoid cursing in this episode.
It's not the cursing. It's the sexual metaphors.
Well, I can avoid that too for now. For this episode, we'll try.
Oh, good curse word. I mean, fuck is the most versatile word in the English language, in my opinion. And occasionally,
it's extremely versatile. Yeah.
I was having a conversation with a friend of my mom's at Thanksgiving, and she said, you know, there's just no use for that word. And she's like, it's not like it offends me, but it does offend a lot of people. I said, look, it is a really, really good word in certain situations. Let's say you go into a room and you know what you're talking about. And the big boss said, all right, this is completely fucked up. There's no more concise way to say something that this is fucked up.
Right. And you're right. It's concise and it's brief, right? So brevity is now a quality of your meeting, and you don't have to waste a bunch of time for people.
It elevates it. It puts it at the highest of elevations.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, people are like, whoa, the boss is swearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Anyway.
Zoinks. But yeah. No, it's fair. Cursing is good, and whatever. It's not sexual stuff is okay.
Yes. Depending upon what metaphor you might use. And there's one that's your go-to.
But yeah, let it rip, dude. Just shoot them out there.
Yeah.
Who cares? The people from my past who see this will just, if anything, be surprised that my political ramblings are slightly more than ramblings, and they have at least a little bit, a small path of logic to them, at least a modicum of logic to it. I'm not just pulling the shit out of my ass, as most of them thought in high school, because they're stupid and dumber than me.
Or just thoughtless, which is equally as tragic.
Not only thoughtless, but they thought less. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I pulled my bicep, and it is killing me.
Oh, I wanted to actually talk to you about this. Your bicep hurts?
I pulled it.
From lifting weights? Or did you pick something up?
Well, I've had this injury before, and it's hard to go away because it's hard for me to take it easy. You know, just because there's so much
I'm having. You're doing a ton with it, but talk about injuries and shit. And what I wanted to ask you is about getting older, but my freaking back. I was moving, if you can see behind my other shoulder here, right there. I moved this credenza over 20 inches maybe on the floor, and it's a carpet, so I just fucking pushed it, and it's filled with files, books, all this stuff. It weighs 250 pounds, whatever, and I was just like, I'll just move it, like push it, so I don't have to lift or anything. But I totally, seriously fucked up my back. And I'm 23. I'm young, ripe. I'm in the prime of my life, right? And my back still hurts like shit today. This was like a week ago, or 10 days ago or whatever. My back hurts like a motherfucker. And my dad, I mean, I've only ever seen him cry like twice ever. Once was from back pain. And I'm like, you just gives out one day. I'm going to be 24 in a month. And I'm like, do I have to worry about this for the rest of my life?
Probably. I never had back issues, but I've known people that have had back issues. And a lot of them, it started when they were young, and some of them were in very good shape. But I would say
horrible. And I'm like,
the best way is just stay in shape. Keep keep everything exercised and limber.
Well, that's the big thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm just not in shape. So it's like maybe if I just work out, I'll be fine. But the back pain, that's no fun. I don't want that.
Yeah, but I've known
Like
some
laying in
people, like I
bed,
said, that were in
uncomfortable.
pretty good shape that, one guy, he was my boss. He did something to his back and he would come in my office on occasion. And he had to like turn a certain way and put his hand on the desk. And it was the only way he could stand. He had to twist just a certain way. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's my back.
Oh,
If
it
I don't
sucks.
stand this way, I literally can't be here. Anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
it's horrible. Yeah.
Backs
I
are
don't
backs
want
are
that.
tricky
Yeah,
things.
It's a big, long, thin muscle. It goes, the one that for me, it's from the top of my hip bone all the way to the bottom of my left shoulder blade. That's just, it's useless right now.
Yeah,
Unless I'm,
there's
like,
big long
moving and
muscles
shit.
back there.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I have that to look forward to. But
Sure.
on to more pressing business. The other thing I wanted to kind of, and this will be a quick one, but it's because you and I have slightly differing opinions on the importance of staying safe during this time period. Long-lasting effects of COVID. They say the biggest thing are some people are experiencing long-term loss of hearing, or not hearing, taste and smell.
Taste
that
and
would suck.
smell.
I don't want that. That's it. And I didn't know that was totally 100% confirmed. I'd heard the rumors, but read an article about it the other day, and I was like, fuck.
Oh,
that's
that it could
I'll
potentially
be more careful
never
about
come
that.
back?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a
Like,
bummer.
these are cases. Yeah, that would suck.
Not
you never
enjoying
smell
food.
hot chocolate again?
Taste pizza.
Oh, yeah. Or, well, the thing, you'd have a lot
Ordering-
of a healthier diet.
Yeah, eating a pizza wouldn't mean nothing to you. Like, hey, let's order a pizza.
Yeah.
Let's make some popcorn when we watch a
Why?
movie. I don't give a fuck. Feed me with straw.
I guess you would just... Yes. I guess you would just eat based on, first of all, cost and health, right? And then I guess you would go towards
Just the oral satisfaction.
comfort of, yeah, right. The comfort of chewing or like pudding. I don't know. Do you like that sound in the mic? These great mics.
Yeah,
pick
I
that
mean,
up?
if you ever found yourself you're
But,
working or working on something or doing homework and you're like chewing on the end of a pen or whatever, it's just
Yeah.
we're orally fixated. Get
But that's
Freud
not taste.
involved
That's
and
more
you'll get
like
a really good
touch
story.
in your mouth.
Yeah, I know,
Yes.
but it comes from
Yeah.
I think it comes from eating
Oh, probably. Yeah.
or oral sex.
Or other things. Hey, we said no sex jokes. Come on.
That wasn't a metaphor.
And I was gonna make that
was a-
joke.
That wasn't a metaphor. That was a flat out statement.
There was no thinking involved there. It was here. Yeah, I spelled it out. Anyway, so that's spooky, and I will concede that yes, I do not want to have COVID. I don't want to risk that.
Well,
but
what
anyway, I
what
figured
would you
it was
rather
stupid.
have? Would you rather lose your taste and smell or have a heart condition that's going to get you when you're 50?
I would rather. Fuck. See, young me wants to say I'd rather die at 50. Fuck it, but I know that that's not true.
50's
Yeah.
young.
Young, yeah. My dad's 55 now, or how old are you? 54 now? Yeah.
54.
I don't want that.
Yeah. Because myocarditis. My brother called me. He's on vacation in a beach area, and he was walking on the beach, and he had COVID. I don't know, November-ish, and he's like, I think my lung capacity is reduced. He was walking and doing kind of an aggressive walk in the sand, and he gave me a call. I was like, yeah, I'm out of breath. But yeah, so
could come
myocarditis,
back,
lung, yeah. But there's seeing kidney stuff, and I forget the other. Anyway,
It's
sneaky.
kind of like a smoker. Your lungs have to tear apart after all that nicotine builds up over the years.
Yeah,
You have
you
to
don't want
practice.
this disease. You don't want this disease.
No, definitely not. But anyway, I thought you'd enjoy that. Now I'm on that bandwagon. But that was just a small tidbit. The big thing, the big fish that I wanted to. Huh?
Hang on. So one last COVID thing. So in India, where people, in terms of like small kind of social laws, it's kind of known to be a pretty, what's the word, non-compliant country. Like they don't give a fuck about traffic laws to the extent where like they don't even pay attention to red lights. They just go. They're getting where they're going, because traffic's so congested. Anyway, so apparently, in the more populated areas, there's 95% compliance with mask wearing, and COVID has dropped 45%, almost in half. In some of the most densely populated areas. Well, no, it dropped in half. I don't know what the rate was, which 95% of people wear masks, and it got cut almost in half, 45%. What percentage of people in America wear masks? I have no idea. I would imagine in some areas, like way less than half. I mean, people are going to parties and saying fuck it,
like,
right?
I was gonna say is, here's the thing: is even if I wear a mask, if my girl
You
comes
can't think
over
that way.
and
You
she
can't
works
think.
a job that,
Well, yeah, okay, but she's in your bubble. You choose your bubble, right? The people in your household and maybe one or two other people that you're close with. But when you're out,
but she also has a bubble.
that's fine. But if you guys are gonna, make that choice, which I get, still, when you go to the supermarket or whatever, wear a mask. If you're like, I'll take the chance of getting sick from her because I want to have a relationship, that's fine. Just protect that chance you've taken from other people, or protect other people from that chance you've taken. That's the right thing to do.
That's okay. That's fair. But did I send you this picture of the Corona Sutra?
Did you?
It's like the Kama Sutra, but for coronavirus. It was like COVID compliant, social distancing.
Did you send me a picture? Oh,
I think I did, but
yeah.
it might have been a long time ago.
No, yeah, you did.
And it was a joke, but I thought that was funny anyway.
No, it was very funny, for sure.
No. Yeah, anyway, that shit's great. But you're right, that it is a choice you make. I guess that's fair. But what I'm saying is that there's no way to include that in your compliance calculation.
Yeah, I got no idea. I think it means, when you're out and about.
Yeah. Which I never go out without it.
The whole thing is getting the R naught number down, right? You get that below 1 and it fades away. Yeah. If you two get each other sick, but you wear masks, and let's just presume that the mask is effective, and you don't spread it beyond one another, right? So one of you has given it to the other, and that's the only other person you give it to. That's an R naught of 1. And at 1, it fizzles out. I forget what the number is, but below 1 it goes away quickly. Because the likelihood is you're not infecting anybody.
Gotta
right?
pass it
If
on,
it's
right?
0.99, chances are, in the grand scheme of things, everybody's affecting less than one person, and it goes away.
And it's negligible at that point. But anyway, wear a mask. Don't get COVID. Otherwise, you could lose your taste forever, and you'll never enjoy it.
And don't give it to strangers. That's the biggest thing. Don't give it to strangers.
Or give it to strangers.
Yeah, that's not very.
Travel to foreign countries and just spread it. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Just go fuck up China. Like, suck it, take it back. No, don't do that.
No.
Anyway.
All right. On to bigger and better things,
Last thing,
as you said.
Much bigger and better. Have you been looking at all at the election certification joint congressional, whatever the fuck, gathering, where they had the Senate and the House meet up? Pence is presiding over it. And they have to be like, does anybody have an objection? And then they're going to go, yes, I do. And then
I'm aware there's 12 senators. I forget. The only one I remember is Cruz.
Take Cruz and 11 other guys, yeah.
I was familiar with one other person, yeah. Fannie Farmer, something like that.
Anyway, I was reading about that. it seems like for once in my fucking lifetime, the spineless Republicans are going to do something and fight for what I think is right. I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube for saying that the election was a scam or whatever, even though they're doing that now. I guess you could say, if you say something like the election is there was fraud and the results would have been different, like the algorithm will kick you off. I think. I don't know. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, for example. So it seems like for once the spineless Republicans are actually going to try and do something, and even if that's just a 2-hour debate discussion on why, I'm okay with that. If it turns out in some kind of some truth coming out, because I think, you have any idea what percentage of Americans believe that there was shenanigans that happened?
I don't, but I mean, you know, the fact of the matter is, there's some level of non-compliance, whatever you want to call it, in every election. I mean, there's a little bit of it in every election on either side, right? And it just gets dismissed as, you know, rounding errors that aren't worth addressing. But you got Trump, who is very good at doing what he does, and he's got people torqued up like never before. And add that in, you know, again, with these things, right? These things, and you're like, look, it's real, it's on film. Well, guess what? If you take one thing and play it over and over 1 million times, well, then it seems like it's got more traction than maybe that otherwise would. Who knows?
Yeah.
But hey, I got to take a look at one thing here. Sorry. Shouldn't do this.
I know you wanted to mention something, but and I can't even find it, of course. If I want to Google it, they'll be like, there's never been a poll on how many Americans thought that there was election interference or whatever that would have changed the outcome. You know, it wouldn't even show up in the thing because they're trying to hide that, I would imagine. But I'd have to be pretty specific in my Googling. But point being, if you're going to at least say, hey, we're not saying that we're throwing this out, but a lot of my people think that there's some shit going on. Some quote, I love the term's been going on so much lately. It's just fuckery. I love hearing that term. If there's fuckery going on, it should be looked into at the very least, so that come 4 years later, come the next election, I can say, at least I know that my vote won't be squandered. If shit goes down, people will be looking out for it. So I'm not saying that it needs to be overturned and Trump should be president. Woo! I'm saying you got to maintain faith in the system.
I agree with that, and non-compliance should always be looked into, not necessarily at the level of senators getting in the way of, you know, the delegates getting cast, but yeah, if you know that there are shenanigans in a district, in one polling place, in a county, in whatever, they should be looked into. You know, they should be addressed and corrected, for sure, all day long, to any degree. Right? Something's broke, you fucking fix it.
It's right, and the question people say that matters is it to a degree where it could have affected the outcome, as opposed to did it happen? Because I forget who the fuck it was being like, there's been election fraud in every election ever, whatever. I think they were talking about Philadelphia specifically, but they're like, there's always been election fraud. And what do you mean there wasn't any election fraud this year? That would be the first in the last 100 years or some shit.
Right.
But the thing that, oh my God, and you'll laugh at this. I heard somebody saying trans dead instead of like transgender, you're trans living. It's like if you're a dead person who voted, you just identify as a living person. Like, I voted, I identify as a living person. Anyway, I would like to fuck over the system from the grave. That would be pretty cool. But
sure.
Anyway, yeah.
It'd be fun to do anything
so I thought
from
that was
the grave.
interesting. I agree. Yeah.
If you could do it from the grave, are you truly dead?
No.
Yeah.
Ghosts.
I was watching a podcast, just to go a little tangential on you right here, and I have and I don't know if I've shared it, but I think I've told you, about how I believe that,
Ghosts are real.
well, there's that, but that what makes us who we are, and my belief of basically what a soul is energy. And that, the only difference, and I think I talked about this on the podcast, and if not, the difference between like somebody who dies for 2 minutes or 20 seconds or whatever, your tissue doesn't die, but your energy goes away, and you can shock it back into somebody, or CPR it back into somebody, and then you come alive. And it's the energy, right? Because the tissue can be fully alive for some period, and whether or not you stay dead is whether or not energy comes back into your brain and you re-engage. Somebody
what is bypass surgery if not? Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody on a podcast who was a PhD, and their whole shtick was, like existentialism and all that. And I think it was a woman. And her take was exactly what mine is. And I'm like, hey, I thought of that all on my own. And she
proof.
Yeah. I mean, she had written books on this shit. And I was like, that's so fucking cool. I should write this shit down in my little journal. And remember, I think it was somebody on Lex Friedman. Have you watched any of those Lex Friedman podcasts?
Just the Michael Malice one. Yeah.
He's good. He said
he's off his game in that.
He's Lex Friedman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Malice intimidates him. Because Friedman likes to explore, and he doesn't like to argue. And he knows how well Malice argues. Malice is very, very, very good at arguing or holding a position.
Oh, for
very
sure.
good.
Yeah.
And because there are two of them. Have you seen both of them?
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen the second one. I saw the first one, and it was clear he was intimidated by Malice.
Oh, interesting.
And he's a fucking brainiac. Malice is really smart too, but I mean, he's an MIT AI guy, PhD.
Yeah, what the fuck? I don't even know the first thing about that. Yeah.
Well, Lex Friedman is he's kind of like Brett Weinstein on steroids. He knows not a little, seemingly a lot about everything, and he's wise beyond his years, and he doesn't realize it, which is what wisdom is. Anyway, I just totally hijacked that.
No, it's okay. That's totally fine. I forget what I was going to say, but you should watch. There's a new movie called Soul. It's a Disney movie. It's for kids, but it's about that part of life and death. It would be interesting for you to see, I think. You have to get Disney Plus, but maybe it'll come out later.
I have it right now. My brother talked me into attempting binge watching Mandalorian. It's a Star Wars thing.
Oh, how much have you watched?
I think 5 or 6 episodes.
I watched that with my lady friend.
How many have you watched?
I haven't. Not that many. I think maybe 7 episodes or 8.
So yeah, so 5 or 6 in. So if you don't know, Mandalorian is basically, I think it's Boba Fett was a Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And Jango Fett, yeah.
Yeah, so it's on these guys who are almost kind of like a Star Wars version, kind of like of a knight, like a warrior, principled warrior guy. Anyway,
I believe you're never mind, go ahead. Yeah.
For lack of a better way to put it. Anyway, where I'm at, like 5 or 6 episodes in, is they're starting to feel like the same episode kind of over and over. Right? He stumbles into a bad situation.
It's like Burn Notice.
He gets help from an unlikely helper, and he gets out by the skin of his teeth, and then he does it again on the next episode. That's kind of, I'm getting
Saves
burnt
the day,
out.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I haven't even seen that many, but did you ever watch Burn Notice? I watched that whole thing.
Don't know what it is.
It's every single episode is the exact same formula, and congrats to them for making a show like that lasted 8 seasons or whatever the fuck. But it's like, show starts, problem arises. He uses his skills to overcome the problem. He is a good guy. He tries to do the right thing. It's resolved. He gets paid, and then they go home. And then it's literally like the same fucking thing every time. You could like, it's the exact same formula, literally every episode, which is fine. But the content gets kind of dry after a while.
It's hard not to do that in a show that's weekly. Maybe it's just what appeals to our particular tastes. Because I got 5 episodes left in a week and a half. I've done, or maybe 2 weeks. I've done Better Call Saul. This is the 3rd time through.
Well, those are all different. You know, it's like, that's not bad.
Yeah. Well, they are to me. But maybe that's, I like the character and the lawyering, and you think they're different. I do. I think the writing's very good in that. Yeah, Mandalorian's Disney.
Whereas like in Burn Notice, it's like, this unlikely source needs your help. You're going to have to do it. He's like, oh, not again. I don't want to have to do this. And they're like, come on, Michael, do the right thing. And he's like, okay, let me go spy it up. Boom, save the day. It might last 2 episodes, but it's the same shit every time. I fucking hate that. Anyway, I didn't find that with Mandalorian, but it's good. It's not bad. Baby Yoda's fun. It's kind of a cool. I like Star Wars in general. I ain't gay, but I like Star Wars. I mean, I ain't a nerd, but I like Star Wars.
All right, to stay.
Sorry.
Rabbit hole
I meant it in
tangent.
the nerd way.
Rabbit hole. A rabbit hole in a rabbit hole. I actually looked up what the Jedi religion is, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, I could get on board with this, and
it's energy.
Until part of it is a Jedi practices with a lightsaber. So you literally,
you have to use
you
a lightsaber.
literally gotta buy a fucking lightsaber, and I'm like, really?
But a lightsaber doesn't exist, so that's part of the religion.
Yeah.
But that's not
and training
it's not
with
a real
it
thing.
is part
so
of.
Get a plastic one.
Apparently, that's what.
But
that's
the
what I
physics would be totally off.
That's what I surmised from it. It was just really disappointing.
If you're training with.
What I did learn from it was George Lucas. I guess when he formulated what the Force is, he actually studied Buddhism and Taoism a little bit, and kind of took bits and pieces from them, and kind of put it together. So again, this is all appealing to me, because how I think, I think life is energy, and I think when you pass, the energy leaves your body, and I don't know where it goes, but it's consistent with
reincarnated as a flower. Yeah.
With physics and thermodynamics, the energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So scientists you get them at least scratching their head. Wonder what Sam Harris would say about it. Guys like that, total atheists. I'm not saying that there's like a God, but anyway, I'm going on and on. But what was my point?
Yeah, man.
Oh, just the whole Force thing. So I was like, wow, man, this is really kind of lining up, and then you have to play with toy swords.
I'm going to have to fucking complain about that right now. So yeah, toy swords. Not only if you practice with it, I'm looking at my Google search history, it says N-word usage in the Hateful Eight. Sorry, I'll go jump to that. But if you had a lightsaber in real life, it's just this much. It's just this much metal, right?
Right.
And then the beam itself is weightless. So essentially, all the momentum has to be contained within this much. But if you buy a fake lightsaber, you have the plastic tip that represents your
Which is
saber.
another way of saying that a lightsaber in the form they're describing doesn't exist in our reality. So
you have to fucking practice with something that is similar to, right, or similar to, it's not even
right.
like,
That's where it
I don't
just got a
fucking-
little too fantastic in terms of we're protectors of the galaxy, not like, you know, a version that works for people on Earth who don't have some other religion, which is me.
Should have said, we need girlfriends. That's what it should say. We're not protectors of the galaxy. We're people who need girlfriends. Yeah. Nerds can have girlfriends. That's totally fine. That's what Comic-Con's for. Go meet a hot cosplay chick. That's cool. I have nothing against nerds. Just accept it.
I mean, whatever. You're into Mandalorian. I'm fucking 54, and I'm not into it. I haven't made my mind up yet. That's a little nerdy.
I'm into Aristotelian and Platonic ideals. I'm into, objectivist epistemology. I can still meet girls. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's whatever.
Well, that's a little more academic and cerebral than Comic-Con.
Cartoons. Yeah. That's okay. I can
Right.
accept that. Yeah. I'm not. I also know when to play my cards. I'm not like when my chick comes over. I'm not like, oh, you ever think about how mysticism is and empirical data and the importance of that? No, I don't. I'm not talking about that shit. It's you just gotta play your cards right, dude. Yeah. That's
Hey,
time
babe,
for you and
wanna
me.
come over and look at my baseball card collection?
Yeah, right. I don't have a baseball card collection because I wasn't that lame.
I never really understood like getting really into collecting.
I have coins. I
Well,
have
it
card-
depends on the
athletic
thing,
cards.
like baseball cards. I don't. I understand collecting things that might be like hard to find, and might have some like that bird. You know, if you were to look at the detail of the person who made that, and you look at, and that's just a $50 bird or whatever it cost.
I love that. That's great. It looks.
But like, say a Fabergé egg. If you were to look at a Fabergé egg, and look at the detail, somebody made this with their hands. Or have you ever seen one of those ivory balls where there's like 6 or 8 or 10 balls within a ball?
No, but that reminds me, your goddamn Christmas present still hasn't come, and I'm pissed off.
Damn.
It's cool as fuck, but no. So what are those ivory balls? It's like kind of like a nesting doll.
No, it's a ball. And the ball is, say, 2 millimeters thick. And then inside that ball, it's a sphere. And then inside that sphere is another it's out of ivory, another carved sphere. And in that is another carved sphere. And inside that is another carved sphere. And it's an art, and I think it's a Chinese thing. And the lore is that when the person who does this finishes carving it, they commit suicide. I'm not sure that's true, but I've actually seen one of these, and it's phenomenal. And
It's kind of
how do you do
sinister.
that?
I need to look this up. Do you know what it's
Yeah,
called?
or I'll look it up. I don't.
Ivory ball carvings. Anyway, I'll come back to it. Anything with the word ball that you're Googling on.
It might be
no.
tricky
oh,
to
shit,
find.
I see what. Oh, yeah. You've seen one of these in real life?
Yeah.
It's called an ivory puzzle ball.
Okay. Yeah,
Or
I've held
probably
it
has some more of a.
when I was a little kid.
That's amazing. Jesus, those are pretty. It's kind of like jagged on the outside. Huh.
Yeah. Well, it has patterns, like little kind of.
Right.
It's got windows that I would presume they carve the next one through. And I don't think it's a trick like a ship in a bottle.
It's like they had to just start with a chunk of ivory and just go from there.
I think so.
That's fucking wicked.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the mind-boggling artistry of China's ivory puzzle balls. Yeah, I'll have to check that out later, but these are really cool people. Wonder how much... So you kill yourself after you do this? That doesn't seem very Asian, except for the whole harikari deal.
That's what. So we were in Florida, and my parents visited friends of the family. Well, that was underneath my throat. Friends of the family who mom and dad met when they were in the service, and he had this ball and he had a couple other things that were really neat. And that's what I remember. So I was maybe 10 or 12 years old, and that was his story. And I looked it up to the extent I could when I was a kid, and the committing suicide part didn't necessarily line up with that, but I don't know.
And also, it just seems odd to me at some point. You're like, and all due respect to these people, if this is true, I'm going to feel like shit about it. It just doesn't line up, kind of like you said. You're like, wow, look at this magnificent piece of artwork that I just crafted. I'm going to pass this on to somebody. And then, like, how long do you have? You're like, there you go. And then you just, like, you blow your brains out that second. Or, like, here, I put the last notch in it and I sold it to somebody. Or I just, like, there you go. I finished it. It's done. I'm killing myself. I need to know the what's your thing? What the fuck is going on? I'll have to look into this to find out. I guess they date back to 1388.
I would have thought earlier, based on just what incomplete.
Oh, sorry, 1388 is when Chao Zhou published a book. It's an instrumental guide to collecting and assessing Chinese antiques, and among these writings were these puzzle balls. Interesting. I have to check this out. I don't want to waste time reading it on air, but these are very, very cool, folks. I would totally check them out. It's called Guangzhou. That's Guangzhou, and I bet you my pronunciation is spot on.
But sounds like Chinese puzzle ball and get you there.
Yeah, it will. It will. Or Canton. You can just like Canton, Michigan. You can just spell that.
I'll bet they're not cheap.
Hopefully. Fuck no. Let's see if we can buy one. How much do they cost? Do you want one?
I would love to own one, but I wouldn't presume they're less than thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars.
This one's kind of lame. It's smaller than this 8-ball. $300.
That's the one I saw was about the size of a tennis ball.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, it's even smaller. That's pretty small to manipulate and use. They make them out of jade as well, but those appear to be much, much, much cheaper.
Well, $300.
That's hard.
I'm interested, but I would want ivory. Is it ivory?
Ivory is very cool. Yeah, you can get one for $300, $299 on Etsy. And then there's
they're on
if
Etsy?
You want next to that. Yeah.
No, that's
he said, it cheapens it. It's very pedestrian now.
Yeah. I mean, Etsy sells.
The jade ones are $35.
Oh my gosh. They've gotten totally commercialized on Etsy.
That's what I'm saying. If someone actually killed themselves for this, then like, what the fuck? He's like, I made this ball. Time to off myself. It just seems wrong.
Who knows? Maybe when the craftsmen who make the iPhones in China are done with the iPhone, they kill themselves.
Yeah, all right, good to go. Well, they do that. That's why they have those suicide netting. It's like bee netting and skiing. When you fall on the slope so you don't crash into the trees. They have that suicide netting around the building so you don't jump out of the window when you're fucking done with your sweatshop. You're like,
I don't think it's the trees they're worried about. I think it's the concrete street.
What concrete street? Oh no, I'm saying you're talking about the people jumping
out of a building.
Yeah, they're not worried about them crashing into trees, right?
I guess this isn't really funny, and I'm making fun of it, but
them.
Hey.
Making a stain on the sidewalk. Yeah. But anyway. Those were cooler. They make some cool ones, black ones, whatever. $176. That seems reasonable. It's jade, though. They make a lot of them out of jade.
Etsy. See, I would have thought these were, maybe you'd find them on eBay or like you get them at Dumichel auctions or something like that. I'm kind of disappointed in them.
I'll find you a nice one. Just
nice. The allure is kind of lost its luster for me. Etsy.
Yeah, you don't want it to be pedestrian like that.
Hey, the black thing behind me, the
$400 seems to be.
the black thing behind me, genie bottle,
Yeah.
hand blown in Egypt, hand painted in Egypt. Kind of the real deal.
Wow.
It was only $70,
How
but
much was that? Oh, I was gonna say.
$70, and they've come and go on Amazon.
And that guy
But at
fed his
least
whole
it's-
family for a month. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That was Egypt is not that third world, folks. I don't think. I think
Yeah.
Cairo's pretty okay. Yeah.
Hey, when did we start? I start.
5:32 or something.
Did we? We're at about an hour.
I've been fasting, so I have to get done eating by 7. I have 28 minutes from now to finish my dinner for the day, and then I have to stop until 2 p.m.
Then we should
I'm
wrap.
doing
I
a
don't feel like
19-hour
we're done.
fast.
I don't feel like we're done, but I'm short on time.
No, and this is we're getting back into it. This is the new year. I think we're on point with a lot of stuff that 8-Ballin' is about, but we can't not do an 8-Ballin' question.
Next week, I'm going to take apart this Time Magazine article.
Oh shit, send it to me. But yeah,
Okay.
We need to ask the 8-Ball. We both asked one last year because it was a new year, new us, new ball. This 8-Ball got me a date with a girl actually once.
Okay. This is going to be a goofy question. I downloaded an Audible book, the Robin DiAngelo White Fragility, and I'm through the foreword in the first chapter, and I'm losing my mind. Will I make it through this book without destroying something or destroying myself by going crazy?
I was hoping that's what you were going to ask. Let's see. I bet you the answer is no. I know we never gamble on the outcome before it happens, but let's see. It is certain you're going to make it through. I guess it's not that annoying.
It's some wacky
Shit.
It's
Have you read Hillary's book? I'm just kidding.
It's just
The worst.
fucking.
Yeah.
This Time article is very Robin DiAngelo-esque. It's just
The book.
Bunch of
This
hype.
Robin DiAngelo book is like one of those ivory balls. When you finish reading it, you kill yourself, but for a different reason. You're like, fuck
Right.
this. Sorry for making fun of someone's
Bam!
suicide. It's not a joke. Yeah, bam. Right. Yeah, fuck that. God, I'm horrible. Yeah, I'm white. I'll never be able to not be guilty. Yeah, fuck that book. It's all about like your psychology. No matter what you do, you're always wrong or something.
it's the first chapter. It's just setting the stage for more lunacy.
We should do bad book reviews. That's a discussion for another time. But
Well, Douglas Murray,
That
you
would
know
be good.
who
I
Douglas
like
Murray is?
yeah,
He's like, go to my reading list, and there's a bunch of books on there that I've read that you shouldn't read. He's like, he said some people have to read these books to ensure that other people don't waste their time doing so. And he's like, go to my reading
like, you're
page.
welcome.
Right.
That's beautiful. I would love to do that. Talk shit about literature, academia. Oh my God, that seems like that's. Whoa, I almost dropped a big sexual one there. I'll avoid that. That I would totally be down to do that. I would love that. Anyway, cool guys. That
Cool.
was the first episode of 2021, episode 70.
All right. Yeah.
And Chris isn't gonna destroy himself.
I like. Yay. I like the nice round number to start the year, 70.
So do I. Yeah.
And we're out. You got anything prolific to say?
I like you more than a friend.
Everybody does. Say goodbye to Charlie. Say goodbye to Chris. Later, people. Happy New Year.